Hello again, Jen Havey.
Hello, Mike Lewis.
So here we are again, giving it the old college try once more.
Indeed.
Doing it over Skype this time. So we are not in the same. We're not cramped into my tiny little room.
No, I'm in my spacious apartment.
I love your apartment. God, I wish I had your apartment. But now we each get to use our fancy microphones and see how that works out. So.
Yes, I will then feel like $50 well spent because I've actually used it.
There you go. So now you're getting some mileage out of it. All right, so since we work with books, Jen, the two biggest things probably to happen this week for us were the Harry Potter Illustrated Edition of the first volume of the series came out, as did the Twilight, was it 10th anniversary?
Yeah, it was the 10th anniversary of that shenanigans, yeah.
Yeah, you don't seem super thrilled by that.
Well, okay, so here's the thing about the Twilight thing. And I read the books. And
I tried.
The first book...
I tried, and I gave up after page, 3.
Well, and here's the thing. They get better, I'm going to tell you that. The first one, I got annoyed because Bella spends half the book falling down.
Okay.
And that really irked me. She gets better, and it stops being as much about her as you go along. I mean, she's still the main character, but... And then you get more of the mythology of the werewolves and the vampires and what they mean in the grander scheme of things. And you're either a Team Edward or a Team Jacob.
Oh yeah, the pretty boy teams that were all the rage.
They were, and I will admit I was a Team Jacob because I don't need to do two sparkles. I
could buy that.
Yeah.
The whole sparkly vampire thing, that was just.
Yes, apparently vampires became disco balls at some point in the mythology, or at least
in the
her
70s.
Mythology. Yes, 70s vampires.
That must be what happens when you mix cocaine with vampire blood.
That could very well be. Interesting. I like where you're going with that, Mike.
You know what? We could write our own parody fan fiction. It's all about Edward Cullen at Studio 54 back in the day.
And as we've seen with fan fiction of Twilight, we can sell tons of copies.
We really could.
I.e. 50 Shades of Grey. But what I was going to say about it was, I mean, it's not a fantastic series. It's fun enough. But what had happened, actually, and I was really hoping it was going to be this, she had written at least part of the first book from his point of view. And that was interesting. All this does is makes the Bella character a male character. I don't remember his name.
It's Beaufort.
Oh yeah, Beaufort.
I think that's meant to be pronounced Beaufort, but I don't know.
I don't. It's stupid, regardless. It's a dumb name.
I think it's Beaufort and Edwina.
Edith, I thought.
Is it Edith? I don't know. I
think it's Edith.
I briefly read the synopsis and didn't care. But
anyway, doesn't matter. The main human character is now a guy. The main vampire character is now a girl. But my understanding is it's again the same story. So how is that interesting? It's not going to be all that different. I don't think.
Yeah, I haven't read it. It seems like it's just a gender swap version of the story. So I don't know if you could. Right. I don't know. I don't see how you could really change anything just by changing the genders of the main character.
I mean, the only this is going to be terrible. The only thing that's going to be of interest from that point of view is that the entire book series, they spend a lot of time saying, no, we can't have sex because my stone cold vampire penis will rip you apart.
Yes,
that's a good portion of the book.
Yes, I do. I remember. I haven't read the books or seen the movies, but I have listened to the How Did This Get Made episodes about the last two movies. I think. They went to see him for whatever reason. And that's what they said. There's the whole series is just leading up to them being able to fuck. And they said in that last movie, when they finally get married, he said they fuck like crazy.
They do. And he kind of breaks her a little bit, and then she's impregnated with vampire human baby that tries to kill her. Yeah, so that happened. But so in the original series, that's the big issue for a lot of it. So now all I can think is, so the flip side of that is going to be, we can't have sex because your rock hard vampire vagina is going to rip off my penis? What? How's that? I'm confused.
Yeah, and at the same token, will he be able to get her pregnant?
Good point. Well, then
I mean, if vampire sperm still work for whatever reason, then I suppose a vampire uterus would still work, but I don't know.
But you know what, though? They talk about that in the original series. Because Rosalie tells
no idea
Bella,
who that is, but go ahead.
Rosalie's one of the vampire chicks. She's part of the family.
Okay.
Has this whole heart-to-heart with Bella about how she would have given anything to have a child. She got turned into a vampire kind of against her will. And she can't have kids because she's a vampire.
Okay, so
we've already
lady
addressed
vampires
that issue.
are barren?
Well, because they're dead.
Right. But then you would think that male vampires are dead, so they wouldn't be able to shoot, like, living sperm.
Well, because,
if sperm survive if you keep them on ice, if you chill them. So I would assume that since he's dead and his body temperature is so low, then perhaps that... I don't know.
But eggs survive the same way.
That's true.
Now, just in this male-centric world we live in, Mike, men can still do it and women can't. That's just what it is. That's what it is.
Well, yeah, except for the fact that she's a Mormon, and so she wrote a book where nobody could do it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Until they were married. And so all gender politics really get thrown out the window with these books because she's a Mormon.
Right. I mean, in fairness, the Mormonism aspect of her life or whatever doesn't really come across all that much in the books, which is good.
I have heard that. Except for the whole, like, staunchly not being allowed to have sex until they get married. Like, that's just this weird dynamic that she put in there, and people have mentioned that.
Well, I mean,
other than that, they've said there really is no... There's nothing that would make you think that the author of this book is a Mormon or has any kind of religious agenda.
Right, and I mean, and that's passed off in the books as Edward is from a different time, essentially, and in the time that he was, alive, it was improper to do that, which, of course, they fucked like rabbits before marriage.
Yeah.
Any time in history.
But the thing of it is, that you'd think that if he's so old, he would just roll with the changes. Like, you'd think that after a certain point, you'd forget all your old, weird morals and prudishness, just because I've been alive for so long, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to have fun.
But he doesn't... Bella's the first chick that he even contemplates having anything with. Like, he's been essentially...
I don't buy that at all.
He's dead. I don't know. All I know is that he doesn't seem to have any interest in anybody of the opposite sex or same sex, living, dead, or otherwise, until he meets Bella. And then he spends half the book trying not to eat her. And then the other half of the book...
that's a funny thing that got brought up by one of the people that I work with. She was talking about the whole gender bent role aspect of it, and she had said that the one thing that she never really bought in the Twilight books was the fact that, like, Edward kept saying that the scent of blood would drive him crazy, and so she said, well, what happens when Bella's on her period? He could never possibly be around her. He would lose his mind in bloodlust. So now we have a story where, since the main human character is male, you don't have that issue anymore. So maybe now it's going to be he cuts himself shaving.
Well, I mean, in the books and in the movies, which you neither read nor saw.
Yeah, so I'm really just talking out my ass on this whole thing. I know nothing about Twilight. Well,
I was going to say, they kind of try to address that at a couple points, but usually it's addressed in a way that it's a plot point just to bring out the fact that he's still a vampire. Because he spends a lot of time saying that, he and his family don't need human blood anymore. They become quote-unquote vegetarian, which means they, suck on animals of some sort. But he spends a lot of time...
That's not at all the definition of vegetarian.
Apparently for vampires, that's vegetarian. Because, they can't have soy. Soy has no blood. But they spend a lot of time talking about how they've trained themselves into this way, and they can, resist most humans, but she has this special, crazy, like, crack-like blood to him, anyway. And as you go along, you discover that she's actually super attractive to most vampires. They mostly want to suck on her, which I'm just like, that's a whole nother, like, level of weird.
And then there's the werewolves. And this all just gets so complicated and bizarre, and I don't know.
But then that makes me wonder. Now, again, it's just the first book, and Jacob is in the first book. So are we going to then have a female werewolf situation? And that changes the whole dynamic of the werewolves, because they really only have one chick werewolf in the Twilight books. And she's very unhappy about it the whole time.
Yeah, I do. All the little promotional things that I ever saw, like trailers for the movies and stuff, now that I think about it, I do only remember male werewolves. I just remember a bunch of shirtless dudes running around and turning into wolves.
Yeah, Jacob cannot keep a shirt on to save his life.
Oh, no. I have noticed that.
Which, I don't particularly mind, but it seems odd that he can't seem to... He must go through a lot of shirts. That's all I can think.
Well, he's like the Hulk, I would assume.
A little bit.
So, like, when he transforms, he rips out of his clothes.
Well, he spends a lot of time, like, stripping, and then in the books they talk about how they, like, strip down and attach their clothes into a bag that they put on, like, their leg or something. I don't remember very well, but... They actually take their clothes with them in some fashion.
Well, that's practical.
So they have to strip down
That's
first.
interesting. I like that logistical problem was addressed that's in some way in the books. That's actually kind of neat.
Yeah. And so they have their clothes, and they can then put their clothes back on at the end. But they, of course, don't do that in the movies, because that's not nearly as much fun.
Right, because they want them to transform back, and they're all standing around naked, like American Werewolf in London style.
Though there is one part in, which movie? I want to say it's New Moon, where Bella hurts herself, because that's what she does. And of course, Jacob being a werewolf, he doesn't care about the blood portion of it, and she's like going, no, there's blood, and he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so he then very grandiosely rips off his shirt and then wraps it around her, like, wounded whatever. And I'm just sitting there going, seriously?
Oh my god.
It's like this one fluid motion of, look at my pecs. Anyway, we're totally getting off topic, but...
No, we're not. We're talking about Twilight. I mean,
we are.
This is Twilight.
It is, but we're not at all talking about the gender bent issue, but that's okay.
Well, I mean...
Aside from the fact that we don't know how it's going to work.
So.
Yeah. No, that's true. However, I do have in front of me the lovely illustrated Harry Potter.
Yes, let's get into that, because that's much more interesting.
I agree.
You and I both love Harry Potter immensely.
And you know what I think is funny when we started this discussion was you said, 2 major things happened in the book world. I'm like, I'm sure lots more. I led
Harry Potter, and then we spent like 10 minutes talking about Twilight, which neither of us cares
not even
about.
That. It's the, I'm sure other things came out in the book world, aside from these two things.
Right, but these were the 2 big ones, for us.
For us, yes. So anyway, did you get a chance to look at it, Mike?
I have. I've flipped through a little bit of it. When we first got the boxes in, of course, we opened them up and all looked through it. And that's when we got the email like the next day saying, Don't open the boxes.
And honestly, what store did not open the box? I mean, come on.
Well, I'm sure it came up on the Bookseller Facebook page or something. Someone probably was posting pictures of the illustrations from inside the book, which that's just dumb. You shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, don't do that. By the way, sorry, going back to Twilight for one more second.
No, we just got to Harry Potter, Jen, come on.
I know, I'm sorry, but KR had posted the night before it came out. She's like, I can't say anything more, but, the Twilight thing, totally worth it. And now that I know what it is, I'm like, really? You think that was totally worth it? All right.
Has she even read them? I don't even know.
No, I think she's read them. I don't know how much she loved them. I don't think she has any particular desire.
I'm guessing not, because I don't think we have any of those books in this house. So
I have one. I have New Moon, I think, floating around here somewhere, because it was a strip and I took it.
I was about to say, so you don't even have the first one? You have a random book in the middle of the series hanging around your house?
But you know what? Of the 4 books, I think that was my favorite one anyway. Because Edward is gone for half of it.
Okay, that sounds fun.
I'm like, good, go away. Don't like you anyway. Okay, yeah, so Harry Potter. So yeah, it's sitting on my lap as I'm sitting here, and I'm grinning at it.
For anyone listening to this who doesn't know, they recently, this week, just released the first Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone, if you want to be a purist about it. They released a new hardcover edition of just the first book, fully, completely color illustrated. So, like, every page... What I was expecting was just going to be, like, the actual book with a couple, color illustrations mixed throughout. But no, this is like... It's laid out hardcore. Almost like a children's picture book. Like, every page has some kind of amazing watercolor illustration.
Yeah, it really does. And even the pages that really don't have illustrations, what he did was he made the background look either parchmenty, or he had a faded-out picture or something in the background. And then, of course, there's, like, ink spots and things. It's really kind of cool.
I don't know how I feel about the layout of the book. Like it's almost laid out like it's almost laid out like newspaper columns.
Yeah,
that's a little weird to me, but the illustrations would be worth it.
I'll say it kind of reminds me of reading, like those children's books of verses. That's what it looks like to me. You ever see that, the Mother Goose children's books verses?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, they're the poems or whatever in column format with the pictures.
The book reminds me a long time ago, and I might actually still have it around here somewhere. It might be back home, but I had this illustrated edition of The Hobbit. That was like the same thing. It was that same big, like, long picture book format hardcover, and it had all these illustrations throughout, and it might have been, the text might have even been arranged the same way, like in the columns. I don't remember. But that was a great edition.
I have a nice Hobbit edition. It's the green leather-bound illustrated one with the slipcase.
Oh, that one is nice.
Oh, yeah, I love that. It lives on my shelf and it looks very pretty. Every now and then I crack it up. I'm like, you're so pretty, I gotta put you back.
Yeah, that's more the collector's thing that you would never actually read.
Well, I have those little leather-bound Lord of the Rings, that little box set, the $50 box set, the little leather-bounds of Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
I don't think I remember that one.
It came out last Christmas. And we got it in like droves, like tons and tons and tons of it.
I don't remember that one for some reason.
Oh yeah, they're super cute. I'll have to show you. They're really nice. They're leather bound. They're very pretty. They smell like leather. And it's really teeny tiny print on really thin vellum pages.
Oh wow,
it's gorgeous, and they live in their little slipcase.
Yeah,
I will not actually read those.
I have that full, complete, like, one volume Lord of the Rings.
It's so ungainly, though. It's hard to deal with that.
It's really not. It's just one thick paperback.
Oh, you have the paperback.
Yeah, I got
one.
the paperback edition. I didn't buy like a hardcover or anything. It's actually not that. I had it in my backpack for a while. I was reading it, and it felt pretty good. It wasn't too heavy. It wasn't too unwieldy.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I have them in paperback.
It's easier to carry around an infinite chest.
Well, shit. Anything's easier to do anything with an infinite chest.
Yeah, practically a phone book.
Yeah, I'm never going to attempt that. I like how we've gotten off topic again.
Well, that's what we did. It's the book. It's the book corner.
We're talking about books at least.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I'm flipping through this, by the way, which is what I'm doing. I'm sure you can hear it over my mic. Some of the illustrations in particular, they take pages out of like what are textbooks in the world of Harry Potter and put a page in here. Like there's a page
cool.
of dragon eggs that I'm looking at. It says dragon eggs from dragon breeding and for pleasure and profit. That book that Hagrid has, and it's beautiful. There's 10 eggs illustrated here, all in full color with pretty calligraphy. I mean, like, it is gorgeous. So yeah, there's some really, really beautiful illustrations that are very well thought out. There's some great portraits of the kids, Ron and Hermione and Harry.
So now the question becomes, are they going to do this for the other books?
I was wondering that because, while this format, like you said, lends itself to being kind of like a picture book, and I would very happily read this one to my child. The further you go into the series, the less you can do that.
No, you could still do it, but the problem is those books become so huge. I mean, that's...
Well, they're huge, but then also content-wise. Like this, like I said, lends itself to being read to your child. I don't think I'd want to read Goblet of Fire, for instance,
yes,
to my
but we
kid.
would still want to own those because we're Harry Potter fanatics. We'd want to own
No,
all
I
of
know.
them.
I mean, and that's what I mean. I'm curious what the audience for this is supposed to be. Like, what was the thought process?
Well, the thought process behind this is for Harry
Money?
Potter fans. Yeah, this is for Harry Potter fans. This is people they know are going to buy the book. They know like the books already.
Right.
So, and that's the weird thing about Harry Potter is I started reading the books when I was pretty young. I don't remember exactly when, but
I was already I was out of college, I think.
No, really? Well maybe because I started.
Was it first? When did Sorcerer's Stone come out?
Oh my god,
2001, I thought.
No, it was before that. I think. Give me a
Was
second.
I can go look at mine. They're over there. I have all my first edition hardcovers.
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
I didn't start reading them until after 4 came out.
97.
That was... Okay.
Now that might be... Well, this actually says Sorcerer's, and this is probably the U.S. publication date is June of 97.
Okay. Well, I would have been 18 if I had started it right when it came out.
So I would have been...
12.
I would have been 11.
You would have been 11, Jesus. You would have been the same age as Harry.
Exactly, but I didn't start reading them, I don't think, until, number 3 came out.
Yeah, I didn't read them until, I think, after 4.
And I know KR didn't read them until they were all out.
Yeah, and then I remember distinctly being at the circus and having Order of the Phoenix shipped to me and reading it while I was on tour. And that was kind of ungainly because that thing's huge.
Yeah, oh yeah, and that's another problem with these illustrated editions is those books get so huge. Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to do illustrated editions of those, they'd be massive.
They would be massive.
But it would be cool to see them. So yeah, but that's the problem with Harry Potter now is when it started, it's all of us have sort of grown up with it, and so we started with the younger books that weren't quite so bad, and then they got a lot older and more mature and darker. Yeah. So people that grew up with them, that's fine. It'd be so hard to take the entire series and sit down with a kid and read the whole thing because when they came out, it was kind of expected that kids would be growing up with these books. And so, as they got older, the themes of the books got more mature. And you can't really do that now.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if you have the entire series, so what are you going to do? Read the first one to a kid and then wait a year to read the next one?
Well, it might take you that long.
Well, that's true. Some of these books are huge.
Yeah. Especially if you're doing it in nightly installments of a chapter or 2.
Yeah, I suppose that... I mean, cause you'd get through the first 3 really quick.
Right. But after that, it would take you a year to get through, Goblet of Fire.
So, I don't know. They're in a weird position now where,
Yeah, what do we do?
Yeah, what do you do? Because kids can't grow up with them really anymore because they're out there and we have them all, and so you can't. There's not that forced waiting period anymore.
Though I wonder because if, for instance, someone had a kid now and picked up this illustrated edition to read to their child, how long it's going to take whatever his name is, Jim Kay, to illustrate the other books? It might be.
That's true. That's true. It's going to take a while to really.
Because this is incredibly
they're
detailed.
Very intricate,
Holy
detailed
crap.
illustrations. They're beautiful.
It is. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like, I would, if I had a way of getting the individual prints, I would totally hang some of that stuff up. I mean, it's gorgeous.
I'm sure they'll sell prints at some point.
So it might be, if they plan on doing the whole series, which, holy crap, you theoretically could do the growing up with it all over again.
I suppose.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to see what... They might not do the rest. This might just be a special thing they're going to do for just the first book. I don't know.
But yeah, so it is beautiful. And for those of you out in the podcast world, if you have not looked at it, please go do so. Even if you're not a Harry Potter person, because, there are people out there that are not.
Even if you're not, you should at least look
beautiful.
at the book, because it's gorgeous to look at. The artwork is phenomenal. Really is.
I mean, if you have any desire whatsoever to look at pretty things, this would be a pretty thing to look at.
And now we can move on into the next piece of book-related news that we have.
Nancy Drew.
You've got it here on the notes. Grown-up Nancy Drew NYPD crime procedural in development.
So let me ask you this question, being of the male persuasion. Did you ever read Nancy Drew?
I don't think that I ever read any Nancy. I did read a few Hardy Boys.
Hardy Boys, yeah.
I have.
And that
my aunt, my mom's sister, is like really obsessed. She loves Nancy Drew. She has a lot of like really old editions of the old Nancy Drew books. They're actually kind of cool. I might have read one. I may have read like the first. What is it? The Clue in the Clock, I think is the first Nancy Drew. I might have read that at some point. But yeah, I had 2 or 3 Hardy Boys books. I was never a fan, because even as a kid when I read them, I'm like, oh, okay, there's a pattern going on here. This is basically the same book, just with names and places changed. It's the same thing over and over.
Well, I mean, there were some different themes. Like, there were some supernaturally themed ones.
Nancy Drew had a lot of that. She had a lot of basically, if you've ever seen an episode of Scooby-Doo, you've read a Nancy Drew book. That's pretty much the formula. Now I'm reading this article, and so Nancy Drew is going to be developed as a modern-day crime procedural, where Nancy Drew is a grown-up adult woman working for the NYPD. I don't know, solving murders or something.
I mean, and you know what? I think it could be very cool. My concern is that the people that are writing it are the people that write for Grey's Anatomy, and that kind of makes me want to gag.
I've never seen Grey's Anatomy.
I'm
not a big fan of police procedurals or hospital dramas.
So therefore, this article is not for you in the slightest.
This really isn't for me. But yeah, I've never watched like NYPD Blue. I don't watch any other cop show on the air. I've never been a big fan of cop shows.
All right, well, fair enough. For me, the police procedurals usually have to be mixed with something else, like Sleepy Hollow, for instance, which I love. It kind of lost the thread, but it's a police procedural, but it's a police procedural with a twist where it's a supernatural thing and it's a historical thing, and
Right.
Like, I follow those just fine.
Yeah, there's that one. A couple people have recommended to me that Life on Mars.
I love Life on Mars.
I've heard that's really good.
Yeah.
So
and that was actually, and the cool thing about that is watching the British one versus the American one. The American one had to end really quickly because they got canceled, and it was cool for what it was, but it didn't last long enough. The British one, it's a really neat window into 1970s Britain. And then the sequel, Ashes to Ashes, which I think we've talked about this before, I actually like better. Again, a window into the 80s. And it's really, really neat to see the crime procedural in a different time frame with a slight supernaturally kind of twist.
That's cool. Yeah. That kind of stuff I probably could do because there's more going on there. But, I mean, but just straight up Blue Bloods. Yeah.
I don't do those either. But the thing about the Nancy Drew, I was saying was that the Grey's Anatomy thing, I tried to watch it when it first came on 8,000 years ago. It's too much of a soap opera for me. I can't, I just want to slap them all. And so the idea that these are the people that are writing this make me a little concerned.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the fact that Nancy Drew is supposed to, it's a children's series. It's supposed to be like fun little mystery stories for children, and everything works out fine in the end, and it's always like, Nancy Drew's just something weird's going on, and she's going to get to the bottom of it. If you make Nancy Drew in the modern era, I'd be worried that they try to go for some weird gritty realism thing that would not lend itself well to Nancy Drew.
Well, I wonder if it's going to kind of go the way of Elementary, where you wouldn't expect, Sherlock being in the modern day and era, or, the BBC Sherlock for that matter.
Right. I love the BBC Sherlock.
I do too.
I have not seen any of Elementary because I don't have TV. But
I tried when it first came on. It's another thing that didn't grab me right away, but I understand that many people love it.
But the BBC Sherlock I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are characters and things you wouldn't think would lend themselves to a modern day, but if you do it right and do it well, then it's amazing. So I'm hoping that it's kind of got to go that direction. But again, with the Grey's Anatomy people writing it, it makes me go, oh no.
See,
it's going to be a crime
Sherlock lends itself well to the modern era simply because they didn't really change the character of Sherlock. I mean, he's still the same kind of weird sociopathic genius that he was in the books. It's just taking the old stories and putting a modern twist on them. Whereas Nancy Drew, the entire core of Nancy Drew is that she's a kid. She's this kid who just wants to go out and solve these weird little mysteries. Making her an adult working for the modern day NYPD, I don't see that being a good translation of the Nancy Drew books.
Well, they would have to make it that she has, much like Sherlock, some sort of ability to see things that people don't. That's really the only way you can go with that.
Yeah.
And it might turn out to be fine. It might turn out to be just another crime procedural. Who knows? Or it might not even happen because
it might not. It's in development, but I mean, it could always just fade away and not happen.
I mean, once they film a pilot and start shopping that around, people might just be like, no.
Yeah.
You're ruining our childhood. Stop.
Or they'll be like, who even knows who Nancy Drew is these days?
Oh, that makes me sad. Don't say that.
Well, I mean, the books are still in print, but
yeah.
But what I've been seeing is those books are still in print, but they also have the new modernized versions of it. It's Nancy Drew and the Clue Crew.
Oh, I don't know what the hell that is.
You haven't seen those? Go into well, you're not going to work for the store anymore, but if you went into the kids department, they have, the Hardy Boys have a new, updated, modernized version. Nancy Drew does as well. But they're still kids, but they're just new series of these characters. They just take the same names of the characters, and they put them in today's modern setting. So they all have cell phones, and they all have internet, and I haven't read through any of them, but yeah, they're very clearly made for a modern day cartoon watching audience.
Huh. I don't know how I feel about that.
Again, the originals are still in print.
Yeah.
But I just wonder how many people even know who Nancy Drew is these days.
See, I don't know. I feel like Nancy Drew is pretty ubiquous. I think everybody knows who Nancy Drew is, whether or not they've read any of her things.
Everyone knows who Nancy Drew is, but
right.
How many Nancy Drew fans are there?
Well, if there's any fans per se anymore, but at least people know who she is and the basic idea of what she was. You know what I mean?
True.
So I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Honestly, though, I don't really see this going anywhere. Because like you said, it's another crime procedural, and you're putting Nancy Drew in that situation where the whole charm of her is that she's a kid detective.
Yeah.
When she's an adult, it's no longer charming, it's just she's another cop. So
she's just another cop who happens to be named Nancy Drew.
Right.
I think,
unless they somehow bring in, she's Nancy Drew and she was an actual teen sleuth and they wrote books about her and now she works if they try to tie it in that way, it might get interesting. But
okay, I can see that.
I don't know though. That might get a little too meta. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think a meta storyline like that is probably the only way you could really go to make it make sense. Because again, if you just try to make a crime show with a cop named Nancy Drew, you can't ignore the Nancy Drew character. You can't ignore those books to make that work, because the entire idea of the show is that it's referencing Nancy Drew. It's referencing this cultural icon. I think you'd have to be self-referential. You'd have to acknowledge that there are these books. That would probably be the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think it might be the only way to do it.
It's really the only way that I could think you could make that work as a Nancy Drew franchise.
But then it can go the way of Gone Girl, where did you ever see that or read that book?
I did not.
Okay, so I never read the book. I saw the movie and I hated it. But the whole point is that the chick, the main chick in Gone Girl, her parents screwed her up so bad because they wrote picture books about her, but made the character of her be so much of a better person, and they kept comparing her to the fictionalized version,
Jesus.
And it screwed her up.
Okay, that.
So I'm going, we could just go the Gone Girl route with Nancy Drew. Ooh, maybe she could be a killer. And then also be the NYPD.
That'd be so much cooler if Nancy Drew is not a cop. Nancy Drew's the criminal they're trying to catch.
That would be awesome. Okay, so we need to pitch that.
Yeah, so Nancy Drew was a child sleuth, and they wrote all these books about her, and it messed her up because now she's super famous, and so she knows all this stuff about, like, investigation and police procedure, and so she decides that she's going to become, like, the perfect killer and commit the perfect crime, and no one can catch her. Go. And so they keep coming to Nancy Drew for help, and she just steers them down the complete wrong path.
Or close enough to the right path to get them, like, real, along the same lines, but not to her.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so major networks. This is our pitch.
Nancy Drew is a serial killer.
I like this plan.
I like it too. I like it so much that we could use Facebook's new reaction feature, dovetailing right into the next thing we have on our notes here.
So which of those emojis would I use for that?
I don't know. I can't remember what the emojis look like.
I don't either. All I know is that that's just dumb. And the thing that kills me about Facebook, like, we had the like button, and people were, they would like terrible statuses just to be, in solidarity. I see your status and I'm acknowledging it, but liking it was inappropriate. So they try to do the dislike button. And now they're doing the emoji thing, and I'm just like, you know what? If I feel the urge to react to your stat, I'm just going to write something.
Basically. So, to give a rundown of this, this is something that Facebook just rolled out on their app, only in Ireland for some reason. People in Ireland are beta testing this. But, for years and years, people have been asking for a dislike button on Facebook, which I think is pointless, really, because if you dislike something, then you either don't like it, or you can actually get on there and write something and post about how much you don't like what someone put on Facebook.
Pretty much.
So now, what Facebook is doing is they have this thing that they're testing out called reactions, which somebody posts something, and rather than just a like button, you get a series of 6 emoji. You have the classic like button, thumbs up. You have a heart. You have a smiley that has, like, the open mouth, laughing out loud. You have just a regular smiley. You have a smiley with its mouth open, like it's gasping. You have the neutral smiley. And then you also have, like, a little angry, red-faced smiley.
I like that you say it's a neutral smiley.
Well, it's the neutral. It's like the flat line for the mouth.
Then what would be the point of clicking that, I wonder?
What's the point of clicking any of these? Like, what's the point of having the Facebook like button and a heart? Like, doesn't the heart already imply that you like it?
Maybe you love it.
I guess it's like and love, whatever.
I don't know.
Because you're right. Like what you said, the like button sort of just became, rather than you actually like something, clicking the like button basically just means, oh, I've seen this.
Right.
This is me acknowledging that I saw your post.
And feeling like that you need to know that.
Yeah, basically. I don't know. Facebook is dumb regardless. It's all these weird things put in place that people, I don't know. Like, I don't even comment on people's stuff. And if people post a bunch of stuff that I don't like, I either unfriend them or I mute them. I make it so
I'm done with you.
I have so many people that I can't see their posts because I'm like, I don't want to see the stupid crap you keep posting.
It's like, you keep posting racist stuff, I'm done with you.
Yeah, you keep posting a bunch of right-wing insanity. I don't want to hear from you. I'll keep you on my friends list.
Right.
But I
will secretly not listen to you.
Yeah, and they'll never know.
Right. Oh, please, everybody has that relative that does those things.
Oh, yeah.
And we're all just like, okay.
Yeah, and then you mute them, and you're like, if I need to talk to you, like, specifically need to talk to you, sure. But right. I don't want to see anything that you have to say.
So I'm going to leave the channel of communication open if you need to say something directly to me, but aside from that, I'm done with you.
Pretty much.
This is the modern day equivalent of, like, that uncle that sends all those chain letters over email.
I don't know. What are your feelings? What do you think about it? How much do you even use? Because you know me, I don't use Facebook hardly at all. I get on there to see what other people have posted. If you put something funny, I'll comment on it, but I barely use it.
Very little. I mean, I'll put up things, like, if I'll get onto, like, unfortunately for all my friends, political or advocacy things, and every now and then I will, like, I used to put up a good number of Jon Stewart or John Oliver things when they'd have a particularly...
And speaking of, like, that article that you sent me about the Facebook reactions thing on Mashable, it had a link to a John Oliver video. And I'm like, that was the most interesting part of the whole article.
Yeah. And like, you know, John Oliver and Jon Stewart were, you know, always very entertaining while being poignant, even if you don't necessarily agree with them. But I don't use it all that much. Every now and then I'll use it to say, look, I was here with these people. So I remember where I went. Like, if I went to a new restaurant and really liked it, I'll be like, shit, what was that called?
Yeah, that seems to be the bulk of what I see you put up there. Is like, you and Rick went here and did this thing. And like, oh, look what we did this weekend. And so, and I put random thoughts that I have on the train in the morning every now and again.
See, I try really hard not to put a whole lot of actual personal things on there, only because...
Never anything personal, just like stupid bullshit that I come up with.
I mean, but even that, it's one of these things where I don't really need the validation of the Facebook community to tell me that what I'm thinking or doing is awesome.
That's true.
So then moving on, Pepsi has decided to celebrate Back to the Future, particularly Back to the Future 2, because Back to the Future Day is coming, October 21st, 2015. And the way they did it was to actually put out Pepsi Perfect, which is the soda that is in the movie. And they're launching it at New York Comic Con. So at New York Comic Con, the first 200 people that approach their table dressed as Marty McFly get to have a Pepsi Perfect. And these ones actually come in a collector case kind of thing.
It's really specific criteria. Like 200, not just the first 200 people, the first 200 people dressed as Marty McFly.
Which then makes me wonder, how many people go to Comic-Con dressed as Marty McFly?
Yeah, how many people do they think plan to go? And when they say Marty McFly, do they mean specifically the Marty McFly from 2015?
No. Like, all the pictures I saw were the orange-vested Marty McFly for the most part.
Marty McFly classic, if we will.
Yeah, Marty McFly of any sort. Whichever Marty McFly you can pull off, I guess then you get to get a Pepsi Perfect. Cool. Though they haven't specified if they've changed anything about the actual formula, or if it's just the bottle.
I'm pretty sure it's just the bottle. Because in the movie there was no, it didn't say like what it tasted like. It didn't say anything about if the Pepsi formula had been changed. It was just that cool futuristic bottle. So I'm sure that's all it is.
Right. So at Comic-Con they launched this, and then it's going to be available for sale on the internet on October 21st to celebrate Back to the Future Day.
It doesn't seem like it's going to be available in any kind of stores, which is really kind of a shame. But I guess I can understand why, because the cost that it would probably be to manufacture all those bottles to then just get them out to stores across the country, it'd probably be like way too much. And
you know what? In fairness, I wonder what kind of demand there's going to be, because there certainly is the nerd and geek contingent that we're all like, ooh, that's super cool. But the average Joe, if they see that on the shelf of the supermarket, will they actually pick it up? Probably not.
I think there's enough of Back to the Future fandom to make those bottles move. And I also think the average Joes, they come and they see this weird Pepsi bottle, they might pick it up.
Maybe. But yeah, so that's going to be a thing. And I think it's a limited run of the bottles anyway. It's
I want to say it wasn't many. It was maybe something like 6,000 bottles that they were going to make.
Yeah.
I'm sure the overhead for making those bottles is way too much.
I'm sure. I wonder how much they're going to price them at, because you have to order them on the internet. They have to do a specific run of it. I wonder how much they're going to charge you for that crazy thing. I think
you have to order a case. Like, you might have to order like a 12-pack.
Really?
I can't remember.
Good Lord.
It's cool that we get the bottle, and I'm sure they're going to turn up on eBay.
Oh yeah.
So you could easily get yourself a Pepsi Perfect bottle
for probably more money than initially, but sure.
Oh, probably a lot more, but it's still cool.
Yeah, it's cool. My dad actually had bought, back when Woodstock 94 happened, he bought one of the Pepsi Woodstock bottles, and he still has it. Unopened, in the bottle, soda, everything.
My mom has a lot of that stuff with Coke. There was this weird phase that she went through where she just loved Coca-Cola products, so she had all this Coke stuff. We had, we had a 6-pack from the Atlanta Olympics back in, when was that, 98?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. We had a 6-pack from the Atlanta Olympics. We had some Super Bowl bottles. Of course, they're all still full of Coke, so they could never been opened. Yeah, she had a bunch of that stuff.
Yeah, my dad, he only did the Woodstock thing. But yeah, it's still sitting in our garage at home.
I forgot about Woodstock 94. That was Woodstock 2?
Yeah, that was Woodstock 2.
And then we had Woodstock 99, which
is a total washout, wasn't it? That didn't go over well.
I wouldn't call it a washout. I would call it a disaster.
Well, yes.
It was practically a riot.
That's true. More accurate. So, you probably will find these things on eBay. I'm surprised my dad hasn't tried to list that.
I might have to go on and see just how much they're selling them for. Mm-hmm. That'd be kind of cool to have, just because, again, I do love Back to the Future so much, but I don't think I have any, Back to the Future collectibles or merch or anything, so
Yeah, and with Back to the Future, though, of the three movies, I feel like number 2 is the one people kind of like the least. So I'm really curious.
I think most people are split on 2 and 3 as the ones they like the least. Like, 1 is the one that everybody loves universally.
Right.
I like them all, personally. I love all those movies. But yeah, when you talk to some people, it's like they either really hate 2 or they really hate 3.
Yeah. That's true. And I just wonder, like, if it weren't, Back to the Future Day, if this weren't the year he went to, if anyone would care.
Probably not.
Anyway, so that's happening at Comic-Con and then soon to be on computers near you. Other things that are happening at Comic-Con, I know X-Files premiered their episode. I've heard good things. I haven't heard much.
Yeah, that's going to be a Netflix series, right?
Yes, that's my understanding, yeah.
And it's not many. It's only like 5 or 6 episodes they're going to do. So I think it's basically going to be like a mini-series.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't care. I'm going to watch it.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Speaking of X, there is also, in your neck of the woods, Xbox news.
Yeah, you just sent me this. Now, I don't think this is a Comic-Con related thing, but, I mean,
No.
It ties into, like I said, I've really only been paying attention to the Street Fighter stuff coming out, Street Fighter 5 news coming out of Comic-Con, which kind of relates to this, because the article that you sent me, it said that people on Xbox One just basically hacked into the thing. And because Microsoft had said a while back that they were going to launch this interface on Xbox where you can talk to Cortana, the AI hologram from the Halo games. And Cortana was basically going to manage your Xbox stuff, like all of your contacts and calendars, and you could talk to her. It would be like an interactive operating system, basically.
Right.
So that was set to like go onto a live demo, I think, sometime at the end of this year. But apparently it already got downloaded onto Xboxes, like one of the recent patches, and so people went through and broke into the Xbox code and found this Cortana stuff. So you can now bring it up in like a really limited format. Kind of interesting. I'm not something that I'm super into because I don't have an Xbox. I've never had an Xbox. I've always been a PlayStation supporter. But this ties into something that just happened recently with Street Fighter V. I believe it was Famitsu magazine. So Capcom has been unveiling all these new characters coming out for the game over the past few months. The game's supposed to launch spring of next year, but they've been unveiling all the characters that are going to be in it, like, slowly, one by one, every couple of weeks, usually centered around really big events, really big trade shows that they go to. One of the shows they went to this weekend, I think, was in Brazil, and they announced a Brazilian character. People had ideas and theories about what it would be because of different leaks that have happened online and different, threads that have popped up, but no one knew if they were true or not. Well, after the last character release for Zangief, one of the old Street Fighter characters, Famitsu Magazine put up all these different screenshots of the character, and they accidentally put up, and I don't know how this happened, but somehow they accidentally put up pictures of the next character that was going to be released, Laura, which is this Brazilian character.
Whoops.
Yeah. So Capcom, of course, was furious. Their producer for Street Fighter, Ono, he was really mad because he likes to play games with people on Twitter, and his favorite character is Blanca, the old green-skinned, orange-haired electric jungle guy.
Okay.
A lot of people these days don't like Blanca. Most people in discussions about Street Fighter V have been like, just leave Blanca out. Blanca's annoying. Blanca's just a terrible character. For all kinds of different reasons I won't even bother to go into, but he loves Blanca, and so he has this little Blanca figurine, and every time that they have these, he posts like these cryptic teasing screenshots, and he'll always be holding this little Blanca figurine up. And there have been a couple times when he really kind of hinted that Blanca would be the next character released, and then some new character would pop up. Well, this one would have been perfect because this new Brazilian character, Laura, she's dressed in this green outfit, and Blanca, of course, has green skin, and she also has electric-based attacks, which Blanca has. So he could have put up all these different, tiny screenshots that would have made it really look like Blanca was going to... And I think Blanca is from the jungles of Brazil. So he could have made it look like Blanca was going to be in the game, and then totally surprised everybody. Said, oh no, it's this new character, Laura. He didn't get to do that, because the thing accidentally got leaked last week, I think, a week before the Brazil game show. So he's just pissed he didn't get to play his game and troll everybody. And so that comes to what I always think about. I don't like leaks. I don't like... we were talking about earlier, the Suicide Squad movie.
Right.
All those pictures of the set got released, and like we saw all these characters that people were uncertain if they were going to be in the movie, but then we saw pictures of the actors in makeup and costume, and it's like, oh, so now we know. So now there's no surprise anymore. That's what this whole Cortana. Like everybody knew the Cortana thing was coming, but now it doesn't get to be really like a big surprise or like a big reveal, because now all these websites just detail how you can go into your Xbox and pull these files out and make it work.
Right. Well, and as long as there has been movies and TV shows and video games, what have you, there's always two very distinct camps. People who don't want to know anything.
Yeah.
And people who want to know it all.
And these days with the internet, it gets worse because anybody can share anything and just throw it online, and it just spreads so fast.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We live in like the instantaneous information age, which is problematic in a lot of ways, one of which being spoilers. Because like you can't avoid them, try as you might. So, for instance, when New Supernatural goes up, because I can't watch it on broadcast, I have to wait till the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much go radio silent on all of my social media because I know somebody somewhere is going to say something, and I was like, don't do it.
Yeah, I've been able to do that so far because Metal Gear Solid 5 came out last month. And I don't have it yet. I'm like waiting. I'm playing through the other games because I haven't played them in a long time.
Right.
So I'm playing through the whole series, and I actually have one game that I've never played before that I got to get through. So I'm actively avoiding anything related to Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm not watching. I'm not even reading reviews.
Well, luckily, I didn't send you an article then because I was looking for things for this, and one of them was getting the Metal Gear Solid watch.
That's interesting.
If you go to Google News, you'll see it, but. There was and I didn't read the article really well. You have the option of buying the watch or winning the watch. I guess it was winning the watch of one of the characters' wears.
Well, I wouldn't have even opened it. I would not have even opened that article. I would just delete it and be like, nope, not going to see it.
You're like, nope.
I have avoided everything. I'm actually kind of amazed that I know nothing about that game.
Well.
Same thing with Mad Max Fury Road.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't listen to any reviews. I read a couple articles that were just really vague, just about how good the movie was, but it had nothing to do with the movie. So, like when we went and saw it, that's when I kind of experienced Mad Max, like because I knew nothing about the movie.
Yeah, the only thing I knew was that, going back to Meninist for a second, that there was a whole group of guys that were up in arms because Charlize Theron's character was more badass than the guy that was supposed to be following, Mad Max.
Yeah. Yeah, I did read a lot of that stuff. That was fun.
And that was all I read, and because that was everywhere. You couldn't avoid that.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. But I think it's more fun to just speculate, and even when leaks happen, like there was a couple leaks for Street Fighter a few months back. There've been several, so it's hard to know if any of them are actually true or accurate. And like one of them wound up being very, very true, but we didn't find out until after both the characters named were announced. We're like, okay, cool. This one was legit.
Well then, I'm like, I got nothing to say about the games.
Yeah. You're not because you don't have a console or a PC or anything, so you're not.
Though Rick and I at some point we keep talking about getting a PlayStation 4 and getting the Last of Us bundle, but we haven't done it yet.
I wasn't a huge Last of Us fan, but that's something else we can talk about later.
Perhaps once I have it and play it, and I can have an opinion on it.
Well, I didn't even finish it, but. If you had to get a bundle, I would say get the Arkham Knight bundle, but...
And see, I don't really care about the Batman games. I don't.
They're actually really good. Those
I'm
Arkham
sure
games
they
are actually really good.
But it's a fandom that, while I casually enjoy Batman and DC stuff in general, not enough to be like, oh my god, I must play a game about it. I'm just like, meh.
Yeah, but they're really fun games. Like, even if you don't like Batman that much, the games themselves are just really fun.
Maybe. We'll see.
We will see.
I could have it in virtual reality.
Oh my god, that's... VR. I don't... So this came about because you've told me that apparently Hulu is going to start offering VR services. You can watch all your favorite shows on a VR headset. Which...
That's what you want, The Neighbors, up close and
personal.
personal.
The Neighbors. Good old Tommy Wiseau. That show... I love that guy.
Terrible?
I love that guy so much. Because he just keeps doing it. He just keeps on doing it.
And he's got a fan base. I don't know what to say about it.
I am a big part of that fan base.
I know
I
you are.
have been to the live screening of The Room. I threw my spoons at the screen like everybody else. I own the DVD. I make everybody watch the DVD.
Me, several times now.
Yeah, how many times have I made you watch that movie? Because I brought it over, I think, to like 2 Thanksgivings now.
No, I think you only brought it to one, but I had borrowed it from you prior to that because I had never seen it. And I was like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
And so I watched it once on my own, and then Rick came home. He's like, let's watch this. I'm like, oh, crap. And so we watched it. I watched it for a second time. And then, yes, you brought it to Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. And
so 3 times at the least.
Yeah, when I showed that at your Thanksgiving get-together, and everybody just looked at me like I was crazy. But I'm like, no, this is the best movie ever.
And people looked at me when I put on Blackpool like I'd lost my mind.
At least they're singing was in that. Weird.
I love Blackpool.
But yes, so now you can watch all of that horrible stuff through VR, or not now, but at some point. Soon. And I didn't go through the whole article. Is Hulu creating their own VR headset, or is it going to tie in with like the Oculus Rift?
It's tying in with a $99 Samsung thing, but it's going. It's going in. I mean, apparently Netflix and some other streaming service already have VR capability.
Oh my god!
So apparently Hulu is a little behind on this. But yeah, super weird. I don't know why you'd need to. Like, I don't want to see movies in 3D, much less sit at home with like VR.
Well, and the thing about the VR is like that's as it is now. That's just going to be putting glasses to your face to watch a movie like right in front of your eyes, which that wouldn't be all that fun. I assume somewhere down the road, if they get this VR thing really going, then they could create shows that are VR immersive. So, like, you could have different things go... Kind of like how when widescreen became the big deal way back in the day when you could buy VHSs that were widescreen, or DVDs. And so it showed you, like, here's all the stuff that was cut out of the frame for the VHS release because we had to cut the film down. And so it shows you there's, like, more going on the sides. So... you could make a TV show or a movie where you have basically a 360 environment going on around you. And so you put on a VR headset, you can watch the actors as they're talking, or look around to see what else is going on. But why would you want to do that? The whole point of a show or a movie is to focus on characters.
Right, and it's one of those things where then whoever is creating the content has to then think about, holy crap, so the actors are here doing whatever they're doing.
Right, so now you have to script something for a 360 environment. Yeah, you have to script an entire world at that point, which is just way too much.
Makes my head hurt.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not a big fan of this whole VR craze anyways. I think this is going to be such a flash in the pan, and it's not. Everybody's like touting this as the next step in gaming. And all these Oculus Rifts and all the stuff they're developing for that, I don't see it working. Because that could work to create a full 360 world, because they already do that in video games. You just use a thumbstick to rotate your field of view.
Right.
But honestly, how really immersive is it to just wear a headset? Because you're still sitting on a couch holding a controller. What's the difference?
I don't know. All I can think is Sword Art Online all of a sudden. I'm like going, we're all going to get sucked into a virtual world and not get out.
See, but that's a real virtual world. If you could actually... to me, that's what actual virtual reality is. Like, if you can find a way to immerse someone to live inside of a world and to actually... Like Matrix style, right? Where you have a thing where it's jacked into your brain in some way so that like you can feel what's happening in the world. But just putting on a headset, that's not immersive to me.
Well, I don't know if you'd really want to be jacked into an imaginary world anyway. Then it suddenly becomes rather Inception-like. It's like, am I in the real world?
I'd be totally fine with it.
Really? I find that weird.
Now,
like I have a world to deal with.
You can't really... I'm not talking about like an actual like Matrix-style other world. But for like a video game world, where it's obviously not real. Fine.
Okay, well that's fine then.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like 13th Floor or whatever, where you just create a completely separate reality that's almost indistinguishable from this one. That's insane.
That's terrifying. Yeah, no thanks, I'm good. I will live in my real world, and then, yeah, if they make VR, viable enough to play a game, and fine, but...
Which would probably never happen in our lifetime.
Right. Probably not. Oh, we'll be dead and gone. Oh, sad.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You're like, I'm not immortal. I'm fine with that.
But yeah, so the Oculus Rift, everybody is really hyping that thing up, and I don't think it's gonna do anything, because then you have to get people to program for it, and they've got to figure out how to do it. I mean, it's the same problem that Nintendo's been having forever, because like they have the Wii U, but nobody really wants to program for it because you have to program for that extra screen that you're holding. It's just all that stuff, all these ideas they have that seem really good, they don't pan out because you have to get the people on board to make stuff for it. So, like, a VR headset, who would want to watch Hulu on a VR headset? Why would you? How is it any different from watching it on my computer screen? It's not.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be, aside from it being just closer to you. But, yeah.
But why would you even really want it closer?
I think my assumption is that with the Hulu, is that with the VR headset, you'd be able to access content by, like, some sort of hand motion or something, you know what I mean? Like, as opposed to using a remote and using, or using your buttons on your computer.
Right, but this goes back to the, when the Nintendo Wii first came out, and started dominating the market. And so Sony and Microsoft were like, oh my god, motion control is the wave of the future. And so they came out with PlayStation Move and Xbox Kinect. And they both did horribly. And that was the whole idea behind Kinect, was like you wouldn't have to use a controller for anything. Like you could put the thing on and wave your hand around to tap different icons on the screen to access different things. And it just didn't work. And nobody wanted that. They were like, it's much easier to just hold a controller in my hand and press a button. Because you're just moving your thumb around.
Well, didn't a lot of that come into being because we had this whole, like, crusade against video games and kids sitting on their butts all day and becoming fat? Wasn't that, like, the whole point of all these now motion capture?
No, not really. I mean, Nintendo used that to their advantage. The whole motion control thing with the Wii was just Nintendo was just trying to do something different. They were trying to do something kind of gimmicky to make them stand out. And they wound up making it work because they put out Wii Fit. And that became this, okay, you can get this and use it as a health thing. But PlayStation and Windows, or Microsoft, like that was never part of their thing. They were just like, oh, this worked for Nintendo, so we have to do it too. And I'm sure they had exercise games or apps or whatever, but that wasn't the point of it.
Well, you don't even need to have the exercise game or an exercise app, but the fact that you have to control it by actually moving as opposed to pushing a button, I think was... Yeah, whether or not it actually makes a difference is a different story, but I feel like that was one of the arguments for having a console that does that. I
feel like that might have just been a sales gimmick. I don't think
Maybe.
that was... I doubt that was actually part of the thinking when they came up with it, but somewhere...
it may not have been.
Somewhere down the line, one of the PR people was probably like, oh, we could say this as a way to sell this to people.
Because, I mean, we were all riding the coattails of the, oh my god, our kids are fat and we're becoming the fattest nation on the planet, how do we fix this?
Yeah.
It's like, they're going to sit on their butts and play games anyway, may as well make them stand up and play games. And I don't know if you remember, oh good lord, because I would have been about 10, so you would have been barely cognizant of the world. Nintendo had the track and field game that came with a giant pad of buttons you stepped on.
I am familiar with it, yes.
And I remember thinking that was the coolest thing ever. A friend of mine had it. But then we realized you could cheat really easy on things like the long jump and just jump off the pad.
Yeah, you jump off like for the sprinting thing. All you had to do was get down and use your hands and just kind of like pound the mat. Like you didn't actually have to do anything.
But that one like DDR, where you really do have to move a lot.
Now,
to
DDR, I've seen people do that, and that is like really physically intensive.
I love DDR. Holy crap! I can't dance worth a damn, but I can DDR, man. I love that. Because I don't have to have like any kind of real coordination.
Yeah, you don't actually have to be able to dance. You just have to be able to move your feet. Really,
I don't have to be graceful. I just have to hit buttons.
Grace is not a requirement.
No, which thank God, because I'm not at all. Speaking of things that dance, that fun little robot.
Does the robot dance?
It does. Did you not watch the video?
No, I didn't.
Oh my god, you need to watch the video. All right, so
I'm going to put the links to all this stuff in the YouTube description so people can figure out what we're talking about.
It's like, what are you talking about? So in Japan, I don't remember which company is putting it out, but there is this robot smartphone that looks like a little robot. It's super duper cute.
It's an adorable looking robot.
Oh my god. And it's got this little touch screen in the back, so it's a smartphone. And it's got a projector on its forehead, so you can like project TV and movies and stuff onto your wall and stuff like that. But it has the ability, like you play music, it'll dance. If you lay it down, it can stand itself back up. It's just super freaking cute.
And it does fit in your pocket. Like at the end, they had a picture of the dude had it stuffed in his shirt pocket and it was kind of hanging out. And it just looked adorable.
But yeah, it's super cute. And it does. It dances. And it does like various moves. Like that thing can dance better than me. I love it. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
See, I hope that's what it actually winds up being. I remember when they were first putting out like the Keurig machines. I think this was the Keurig. There was this commercial that always came on. And it was like, you put the little coffee pack in the thing, and then it transformed into this little robot, and it was like dancing around and brewing coffee, and I'm like, I want that. If that thing is an actual dancing coffee robot, I want that.
I don't remember that commercial.
I'd have to try to find it, but man, it might not have been Keurig. I don't remember who put that thing out, but I was like, does it really do that? Does it transform? It's like, can I have a little robot on my nightstand that wakes me up and makes me coffee? And no, that was all just a gimmick. It was just a coffee machine.
When you watch the video, you get to watch him dance, and it's the super cutest thing ever. Because not only does it use its legs, but it uses its hands, it uses its head. It's so stinking cute.
Even just seeing the thing not in motion, it's adorable. It's the cutest little thing.
And it's put out by Sharp, and they Sharp has apparently their own OS, which I guess we're going to hear about later on.
Yeah, it says I was reading that. It says it's an OS that's built on top of Android, but
because it looks similar.
Yeah, apparently it's an Android that they've just kind of monkeyed around with and made their own operating system out of.
Right. But yeah, so totally want that. Useless, I won't be able to fit it in my pants. But you can answer calls on this little robot that then you can make dance and you can make project things on your wall. And I totally want it. Oh, Japan. Japan is like the creator of all these crazy, crazy things.
The Japanese pop culture machine is amazing. Because Japan itself, from what I understand, Japan itself is actually fairly boring. If you get outside of Tokyo, Japan is mostly just country and there's not a lot going on. But within Tokyo and within the cities where all the pop culture is... that when people talk about the crazy stuff that comes out of Japan, they're talking about Japanese pop culture. Such as the thing that I sent you earlier on Vice, that article about the... so we all know Japanese idol group. I think we all are familiar with them at this point. The different... the all-girl pop bands that usually have a weird kind of theme around them. And this one was certainly the weirdest, because now Japan has an idol group that is completely dedicated to hamburgers. They are a group called Hamburgirl Z, and they're owned, apparently, they were created by some guy who is the president of some Japanese burger organization. It's all about, like hamburger restaurants. And so they dress up like hamburger toppings and get on stage and dance.
And while they're super cute and everything, I was watching the video and they don't sing very well.
Yes, I watched the video. I watched those two as well when I got home. And yeah, they're not the best singers. They're not the best dancers.
But they're cute.
That's all you need in an idol group. That's sort of the entire idea.
And see, I'm not terribly familiar with idol. Like, I knew they existed. I didn't really look into it. But as I was reading that article and looking into it more, the themes that they have for these things, I mean, hamburger, yes, is pretty ridiculous. But there's a Mormon-themed one. Did you see that?
I did read polyamory. It's polyamory-themed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and some of them aren't themed. Like, I knew about them loosely. When I first started really kind of reading about them was, this was maybe last year. And I think one of the groups that they mentioned in this Vice article is AKB48.
Yes, where it's like 48 people.
It's 48 different girls, and they're like one of the big ones. They're one of like the most famous idol groups out there. They're really kind of like when people talk about idol groups, they use them as sort of the example. And this was about last year. It came to light that one of the girls in the band had a boyfriend that she was sort of secretly seeing. Because that's the thing with these idol groups is they regiment their lives so strictly. They don't date. They don't go anywhere. They don't really live their own lives. And it came to light that she had a boyfriend, and there were like pictures of her online with this guy. And so she was like sort of disgraced. And there was this video of her that came out. She had shaved her head, and she was like crying and begging her fans for forgiveness for having a boyfriend. And
so she like went all Britney Spears for a
minute?
Well,
no, that's just, from what I understand, that's kind of a thing in Japan. Is shaving your head is sort of
a disgrace.
It's
thing.
A penitence thing, really. So no, it wasn't that she like lost her mind and went Britney Spears. It's just like that's kind of what was expected of her. That was her way of apologizing, really. And that was it. She apologized to the fans and to the band for having a boyfriend.
Sorry.
The way that those idol groups work is they appeal to, and that's the thing, is those pop bands, they're not meant to appeal to like Japanese girls. They're meant to appeal to Japanese boys and men. It's all the otaku culture, and so that's
so gross.
It's very weird. they're almost meant to be like virtual girlfriends for these guys.
And can I point out then, these cute girls that the men and boys are supposed to be like, oh my god, they're cute girls, are dressed like hamburgers.
They're dressed like hamburger toppings, complete with little plush pickles and
hats.
stuff on their heads.
So then, just the whole like twistedness of the male sexuality in Japan is astounding to me. It's like, not only do to see cute girls, but to see cute girls dressed as hamburgers, two of my favorite things. It's just like, what the hell?
I don't get it, man. It's so fun. It's so fun to see all the weird stuff that comes out of there.
Well, this is the land of the dirty panty dispensing machine. So
yes, that's the classic go-to that everybody always brings up. But
because it's such a weird thing.
Well,
like, I understand that
the strange thing about that is, that's something that I could absolutely see in like Vegas.
Oh, sure.
Like the fact that Vegas doesn't have used panty vending machines kind of blows my mind at this point. It's like, why haven't they instituted that?
Well, let me ask this question, since you are of the male persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
Is there really a draw for that? I mean, like, I find that very strange. I don't want to smell like men's panties.
I'm sure that there is a draw. I mean, get on the internet, Jen. There's draws for everything.
Oh no, because you start searching for that, you know what comes up? Holy crap!
Oh yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff out there, and people are into some weird things. So yeah, I'm sure there's absolutely a draw for it somewhere.
I don't understand it.
And you know where there's probably a draw for it? Vegas.
Well, no, and I get that. I'm totally with you on the, if America had such a thing, Vegas is where it would be. I'm totally with you on that. I don't understand why there is an audience for that, why there's a consumer base for that. I find it very strange.
Well, you know, I actually do know for a fact there is a consumer base for this, because I have seen places online, like on Reddit and stuff, people like cam girls, basically, people that make their own videos or whatever, and they form like an online little following. That's one of the things they'll do, is like they'll sell their panties and they'll ship them to people.
And you know, and that's been a thing forever. I remember being in college and looking on eBay. There used to be, I don't know if there still is now, a weird link on there, like the weird things. People would sell their fingernail clippings.
I'm sure you can find that on Craigslist now.
And I don't understand. There's a whole contingent out there that craves this really odd stuff, and to each their own, whatever. But I have a really hard time wrapping my head around it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that that's why the whole Japan thing seems so weird to us, is because they just did a thing where they sort of took that off the internet and made it general pop culture, and they appeal to those weirdos.
Yeah.
But they do it like publicly.
But I wonder, like, do those men who go to the panty dispensing machine, do they behave like teenagers that go to buy condoms? Like, do they they look over their shoulders?
I don't know. See, I haven't been. I know they exist because I've seen plenty of pictures and people have confirmed this. The thing, they're not like out on the street, I don't think. Typically, they're inside the love hotels.
Right.
And so I assume you just walk in and there's the machine and no one's around. But I don't know. Or
you walk in and people already who are there, don't blink an eye.
Yeah, because you're part of the group. They're like, oh yeah, I get it, dude. Like, I'm right there with you.
So weird. I don't get it. So you can have your used panties and your girls dressed as burgers, and all is right with the world.
Well, the girls dressed as burgers thing, that's just the gimmick of the group, and that's just to sell hamburgers. I don't think that's part of, like, the fetish.
The fact that we need something to sell hamburgers, like, hamburgers don't sell themselves, really.
Yeah, the fact that you need something to do it, and so the way that you do it is to create, what did they say, it was 15, like a 15-girl pop band who dresses up like hamburger toppings and sings about hamburgers? Like, do you really have to go that far? Hamburgers are delicious, man. Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, I wish there were subtitles on that video, because I want to know what they were singing about.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
I have no idea. It just sounds terrible, but I want to know what they're saying.
But, I caught the word hamburger a million times.
Yeah. Yeah, I caught that too. But aside from that, I'm like, what are they saying about the hamburger? Are they saying, I look cute as a hamburger? Are they saying you should eat more? Like, what are they saying? I want to know.
It's probably you should eat more hamburgers. It's probably just songs all about how delicious hamburgers are, and you should go and buy hamburgers, and we love hamburgers.
And again, not required. That thing sells
really
itself,
not.
man.
You put a picture of a burger up on the outside of a building, and if it looks good, I'm gonna go buy a burger.
Or, we're sitting here talking about it now, I'm like going, God damn, I need a burger
I know,
now.
right? I'm thinking to myself, Burger King delivers now.
I have a McDonald's a block and a half away. It's just like that. We're talking about burgers now. I'm like, I want a burger. Oh my God, that's how, like, prevalent it is in our society. Like, you just talk about it, now I want one.
Japan, mission accomplished.
Seriously.
Mission accomplished.
Thank you, Japanese girl group that's dressed as burgers. I now want a burger.
Unfortunately, Japan's not going to see any of that revenue, but hey.
No.
Now, if I ever do go to Japan, I'll probably buy a burger there.
Probably. There is and this is entirely off topic, but funny nonetheless, there is a restaurant out in Jackson Heights, Queens, called Chinger, which are Chinese hamburgers.
Okay. Sounds vaguely racist, but alright.
I know, right? That's what I thought, too. But it is run by actual Chinese people. It's not like, somebody made that up. And it takes a long time for them to make these things, but they're burgers that are, fairly standard burgers, but then they're topped with weird things. And it's been a couple years since I went, so I don't remember what I had. And they were tasty enough, but, the whole thing was that they were Chinese hamburgers, and I was like...
Well, in that article, that Vice article about the girl group, they mentioned that there was a standard toppings, but they had some weird ones that were, Japanese specific. So
yeah, like the island whatevers. There were 2 island particular ingredients. I don't remember.
Yeah, then there was a type of chicken. So I'm like,
and a fish,
so you
wasn't
put
it?
Yeah, it was fish and chicken. So I'm like, you put those on, but at the same time, I've put eggs on my burgers before. So I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah. Please, we're the country that created the turducken. So I mean,
yes, the turducken and the Luther burger and all the horrible things that we've made.
What is a Luther burger?
You've never heard of the Luther burger?
No, but now I'm intrigued.
All right, well, keeping in line with this whole burger thing that we've got going on, the Luther burger. See, I don't know if the legend came first or if the burger came first.
Oh God!
The first time I heard about it was on, if you remember the cartoon on Adult Swim, The Boondocks.
Oh, I love the Boondocks.
They mentioned it. They talked about the Luther burger, and it was like a half pound, maybe a full pound hamburger patty, with all
Jesus.
the toppings and a fried egg. Which, if you live in the South, you put a fried egg on top of everything. And the burger itself is sandwiched in between 2 Krispy Kreme donuts, and you then grill the thing.
Oh, I'm aware of it. I didn't know it had a name.
Because supposedly it was invented by Luther Vandross.
Oh, wow.
And I see. So I thought it was a joke, but then I found out that there's a restaurant in Atlanta where you can buy this thing.
Well, I mean, there are restaurants here in the city. Rick and I went to. There's a burger joint, and there's 3 or 4 of them in the city called BRGR Burger.
Yes, I've heard of those.
And one of the specials they do is a hamburger sandwich between 2 glazed donuts. Rick had it.
Yeah, that's the Luther burger.
Oh my God! I took a bite of it. It was no. Those are 2 flavors I do not need together.
Yeah, it's all the weird stuff people put on burgers. There's one thing I heard about back home one time of people that like peanut butter on hamburgers.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't get that. I've never tried it.
I love peanut butter, but that just sounds terrible. I don't want to mix sweet, for instance, with my meat.
See, but at the same time, I love Thai food, and they do that kind of stuff.
They sort of
they put peanuts and peanut sauce on everything, and I love that.
They do. That's true. It's odd. It's like people who do deep fried everything, like the deep fried Twinkies, stuff like that.
Oh man, if you want deep fried, you got to go to the Texas State Fair.
Oh God,
they deep fry. And every year they try to get worse and worse, and see one year it was deep fried Twinkies, and one year it was deep fried Oreos.
Yeah.
Deep fried ice cream, which is actually pretty common.
That is, I've had that. That's actually
that's really good.
And weird.
And then
How
one
do you
year
do that?
they just said fuck it, and they just started deep frying butter.
Oh, I heard about that.
They just deep fried sticks of butter, and I'm like, that sounds awful, and no thank you.
I mean, I like butter. Don't get me wrong, but
I wouldn't want to eat
a stick of butter.
It's been deep fried.
No, do people not just keel over instantaneously from eating that?
No, their arteries are already so bad. I'm sure they could take it.
It just doesn't matter anymore.
So who knows? Maybe one day we'll get a Japanese pop group that's all themed around deep fried butter and deep fried snacks.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Though I don't think does Japan deep fry stuff. I feel like
they do.
relatively.
They have tempura.
They have tempura. That's true. But I don't think of tempura being deep frying like what we do. You know what I mean? Like we use heavy duty bread and flour and stuff.
Tempura is much lighter, but no, they do deep fry a lot of stuff. They actually love deep fried food.
Interesting.
I think we brought it over, and I think they
we contaminated them
because I know they also love mayonnaise.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Really? Huh. I mean, in fairness, I was raised on Miracle Whip, so to me, mayonnaise is strange, but it's the same thing.
I don't like either of them. Miracle Whip to me is just mayonnaise.
It's mayonnaise with a tang.
I don't like either. I'm not a mayonnaise fan. Never have been. That's
okay. I don't think you have to be. I don't think it's a requirement, though you are from the South.
True.
So maybe it is.
True. So the mayonnaise girl in Hamburger Girl Z is probably going to be my least favorite.
Who would be your most favorite?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm thinking the Pickle Girl.
Pickle Girl will definitely be a top contender. Ketchup Girl, of course.
Well, yeah.
If they have a Red Onion Girl.
Okay. I want there to be a Blue Cheese Girl.
Yes, a Pepper Jack Cheese Girl. I'd be all about her.
I'd be all about Mushroom Girl.
Oh, yes, definitely Mushroom Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mushroom and Swiss, they would be like the tag team duo that I would be like...
See, for me, it'd be Mushroom and Blue Cheese, but yeah.
I love a good Mushroom and Swiss combination, so I think that if they did like a duet together, that would blow my mind.
This conversation is so devolved.
I'm loving it, though.
We are now coveting possible, not even like actual hamburger girls, just possible hamburger girls.
Yeah, because while I'm sure there's a Pickle Girl and a Ketchup Girl, I don't think there's going to be a Swiss Cheese Girl.
Probably not. There's got to be a cheese girl of some sort, though. Probably just American cheese or cheddar. Some standard cheese. Some blasé cheese girl.
And I'm sure there'll be a Mushroom Girl.
Probably.
I mean, they got 15 spots they got to fill out.
I know, holy crap. And they've, like, made up weird ones, so, you know, they must have covered all the relatively
Well, they didn't
ones.
make them up. There's just actual toppings they put on burgers in Japan.
Well, right, but I mean, like, but they're specifically Japanese toppings.
Right, but they didn't... I'm just saying that they didn't just, like, decide on something random. It's like, no, this is what we eat on burgers here. They didn't make them up.
Well, somebody made them up to put them on burgers in
the
first
okay,
place.
if we want to go all the way back to that...
Just saying.
Oh, I think that's enough burger talk, Jen.
You think? Because, yeah, now I totally want a burger.
Oh,
so...
hang on. That's my doorbell.
Okay. The podcast and I can just have a conversation without Mike. I can say horribly derogatory things about him that he won't hear until he goes to edit. Mike picks his nose. Mike is having dirty panties delivered. That's what's happening. He told me he was waiting.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. I was talking to the podcast while you were away.
I was wondering.